Hello, today's topic is the heart within the place of the heart, the human heart within the electric universe. And we're not just talking about the heart chakra or the physical heart, we're talking about something in between, the interface between the physical effects of the physical heart and the association with a more esoteric influence within the universe. So the heart as an electromagnetic field that energetically affects everything around it. It is 60 to 100 times more powerful than the brain. And we're used to people talking about the head-heart dilemma, when your heart overrules your head or your head gets in the way of your heart and so on. But the heart, what isn't understood enough, I don't think, is that the heart actually signals to the brain. So the heart has the knowing. Now, this is something that we say in the esoteric world and in the parlance of esoteric healing, is that the heart has the knowledge. So the heart, something very important, transformative in your life, or someone that you meet who is to be transformative in your life. You know them within the first 10 seconds or not. So the heart recognizes things very quickly within those first few seconds and then signals to the brain and into the effects of the heart, whereas before certainly a lot was known about the physical organ and a lot was known about the chakra, and people loosely talk about the opening of the heart chakra. You must work with your heart chakra, it must be open, but I think it's one of these terms that is kind of tossed about, and until we really understand what we mean by it, it's not something that we actually work towards for our greater benefit. It's something that we just hope to achieve in passing. Whereas in actual fact, it is possible to work with the heart in that way, using physical mechanism. Using the breathing technique, which we've often talked about the breathing technique on this series here. But the breathing techniques and the techniques of heightening or bringing vibration through the chakras and using the heart in that way is fundamental to creating a more instinctive way of living. Because if we think about the heart as a broadcasting station or a receiving station, then it obviously has finer or more profound or more widespread, more deeply ascertained knowledge than the brain, than the thought mechanism. The heart has the cardiovascular has its own nervous system. So there's a completely different nervous system going on around the cardiovascular than the autonomous and the other nervous system. There are 3 sets of nervous systems that we resonate to biologically, and I can't remember one of them, but certainly the heart's nervous system would suggest that the heart is something that goes on. The heart it stops pump. It's a pump. Yes, we know it's a pump, but it's so much more than that. And it would suggest, perhaps, the research would suggest, if you take it to its ultimate, it would suggest that the heart has access, or at least some kind of instinct towards a dimension which is beyond us, towards a dimension that is actually beyond the physical death. And much more so than the head. So when we understand, you can do your own research on this, because there's a place called Heart Math, which is part of has been linked to Mind Valley, I think now, but is a guy called Howard Martin, who's furthered the work of other people in this respect to understand exactly how powerful the heart is in a physics sense, in terms of the frequency that is emitted from the heart. Now, obviously, if somebody has a closed frequency around the heart chakra, that is going to, I mean, we would say that with a blocked, you can only close your heart chakra or not work with your heart chakra for a certain amount of time before you get physical symptoms, either indirectly from the heart not functioning or directly to do with heart disease. And I think when people who live very, very much out of their own instinct, they live in what we might call left-hand brain. They're very logical. They're very they think in a very material or very organised way. They don't think in an instinctual way. They don't think in an empathetic way towards themselves or the universe. Will receive sudden transmissions of energy from other people. For instance, when people fall in love, when they feel a tremendous movement around the heart because of love for another person. You witness this a lot of the time in men, in a certain stereotype or archetype of male who's lived a life of corporate achievement, for instance, who's lived a life of out targets and outer pressure, is that you'll see he can only go so far before there's some kind of infusion of energy which is alien to how his heart chakra has been programmed, or he's been programming his own heart chakra. And that infusion of energy blows the heart chakra, and there is a heart attack. And that heart attack, or that cardiac arrest, or whatever you're going to call it clinically, is actually about the heart chakra opening and not the physical pump, not being able to cope with the tremendous influx of information coming in on a frequency that to be translated by the psyche, not being able to cope with that at the purely physical level. And so much heart disease and heart problems arise from this not understanding the true definition of the heart. I think that people think the heart is a soppy sort of, sentimental thing that lets you down because it suddenly makes you weak at the knees or give in to your worst temptations, and the heart isn't. It's much tougher than that. But the heart has the knowing. So it has the knowing of where it should be, who it should be with, who it should love, who it wants to love, irrespective of the programming or the more hardwired established habit or learning processes of the brain. And this is the head-heart conflict can be boiled down to that, but it has been found and proven now that the heart actually signals to the brain. The heart transmits frequency or information, it carries information to the brain. So the heart has that superior power, that superior place within the scheme of things, within the unit of mind, body, spirit. The heart has that almost that upper hand, but it's very subtle. And now we're able to see it more and photograph it in a scientific sense. I think that a lot of things can happen. For instance, we're broadcasting to each other all the time. We are sending out signals to the universe, and collectively, people can be of one heart, and the energies emitted by the heart are, I think, the energies that are felt by others. So you get a room full of people who are in empathy. They're kind of in sync. You know, they're very simpatico, and you suddenly get somebody who enters the room, and they might have a kind of good intention, a good mental intention of contributing or being affable within that group, but their energy is inimical to what's going on. And I think that is heart energy, and that group is diluted, or the closeness of energy from previously going on in the group is diluted or diffused by an intervention of energy which is not on the same frequency as that collective heart frequency. And this can happen in a large group or a small group of people, or you can sense it one-to-one. So, and people can have massive arguments and still at the end be still bonded, because those arguments are coming from the mental level of perspective, whereas the bonding is happening from the heart level. So, and there's a way that if we breathe from the heart, if we breathe into the heart, in and out from the heart, just focusing, you know, on where the heart is, in the middle, if you like, near the breast, a little bit to the left of the breastbone. If we focus on that heart and ask to be shown, or bring subject matter into that region and let it rest there, and observe then what it sends to the brain, or what it gives to the mind in the way of new impressions or new information or new thoughts. So we think because we feel, and what we feel is very much the prerogative of the heart. So I think the heart we need to understand how the heart is creating the universe, and the heart frequency individually is making up a frequency collectively, which is actually changing the paradigm of the earth rhythm and the universe. You can see it happening geographically within nations. Is when you begin to read energy, what you're reading is the energy radiated at a heart level, not a head level. Okay. Psychics work on the heart energetic. So when people move around the universe, or the globe, or the world, you go into different places, different countries. You can feel the change of energy. People have different heart energy levels, and if it's not compatible with yours, you won't be happy in that country. If it's more compatible with yours than where you're living, you'll be drawn to live in that country and or move to that space. And I think the energy of the heart impacts on the space, the time and the space. And time, again, is something that is dictated by frequency of space. And an individual and collective heart energy is actually the fundamental modus operandi of the universe as we know it at our physical dimension, because there will be other things going on beyond that, and you know, but the underneath, the invisible side of our level, our dimension here is time within space, anchored to energy. And whether it's seen or unseen, and we feel it, so people are drawn to that energetic of time and space because of the heart energy, which has contributed some sort of experience through detail. In other words, some kind of living experiences have been had by humankind which have left a trace of their heart energy, and similarly is drawing in more experience from the heart energy, or needed by other people. And the heart really rules everything in that sense. And we have to look after our heart, not just by not eating fatty foods or smoking or drinking. but by literally understanding it and being true to it. If we're really going against what our heart needs, then I think that we are shutting down and not functioning in, we don't have to be perfect, we just have to be going along the right lines. And those lines are energetic lines, they're energy lines. We are just energy, and the chief organ of that energy is the heart. Okay, join us next time on The Electric Universe.